Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. My host, JP John Poz. With me today, very special guest, former PCW Tag Team Champion. He was in WWE, WWF, TNA. He is Mr. JR Ryder. Welcome to Two-Man Power Trip. How you doing?
Oh, doing great, man. Appreciate you having me on, buddy.
What is going on in your world? Anything wrestling related?
Well, not a whole lot of wrestling this weekend. ECWA 50th in Newark, Delaware. I'm going to be appearing at that with Chris Daniels and Scoot Andrews, and Pat Kenny's going to be there. Cheetah Master. A bunch of us are going to show up for that one. Need to see all the old crew.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Didn't even realize. Wow, 50 years. Holy crap.
Yeah, Kettner's 50 years for Kettner. Yeah, long time. He had a
Wow.
lot of guys come through there, man. I don't think people understand how good ECWA was for. I mean, Christian, Edge, Test, all of us went through there.
So many guys. Yeah, even later on, AJ Styles, Danielson, Low-Key, like even the next generation of guys wrestled through there.
I wrestled Low-Key, which was American Dragon, him and Low-Key, me and JJ so many times. Oh my God, we had great matches with those guys.
Crazy though, 50 years, man. That is amazing. But ECWA kind of maybe forgotten with the Super 8, but shouldn't be at all. It's a great promotion.
Well, Kettner sold it, right? So Kettner got out,
Yeah.
and I guess, the nostalgia died. It used to be at Matthews Parish Hall. It was kind of sacred ground. That was like our ECW arena. And then he moved out of there, and then he went down to Newark Boys Club. It just wasn't the same. It's still great, don't get me wrong. But the Parish Hall was magic. It really was.
Now, any wrestling though have you done in a while? Have you done any physical wrestling?
I wrestled last year. I had surgery last year. I was bench pressing and tore a bad hernia, so I had a surgery. And the day I got out of surgery, Tommy Fierro called me for the ISPW 25th. And I immediately said, no, I just had surgery. And then he calls me back with Bull James and talks me into it. So I worked one last year with Bull James. I actually had a pretty good match. It wasn't bad for not being in the ring for all that time, but it was pretty good. I may wrestle tomorrow night. We'll see how I feel when I get there if I'm up to it.
Nice. I love that. Very cool. I know Tommy pretty well. ISPW obviously still kicking ass and taking names after all these
He's
years.
still doing it. Yeah, it's one of the best promoters around. I would put him up against anybody. He's a wonderful guy. Does a great job, but he cares. It does a really good job.
Definitely, for sure. Now, when you go all the way back, like when you actually break into the business, like where did you actually break in? Like, was it Jersey or was it Delaware?
I started at a little school called Liberty All Star Wrestling with Bay Ragney owned it. Chubby Dudley.
Yep.
He owned it. I was trained by Glenn Osborne, and I started there. And my first show ever was for Dennis Carluzzo in New Jersey, the NWA, at I forget where the heck we were, Yardville, New Jersey. That was my first show ever. That was 95-ish, yeah, in that area. So that's where I started out. I did the Jersey circuit. Then Kettner picked me up, and then I branched out from there.
Carluzzo, what are your thoughts on him? I mean, there's so many different stories, but obviously NWA New Jersey was pretty hopping for a while.
The roster, if you look at it now, it was me, Pat Kenny, Crowbar Devin Storm, the Misfits, Mike Morallo, Ace Darling, Inferno Kid, like Reckless Youth. We were all like everybody there was somebody. So we walked in any place. We were big stars back then, because it was kind of like territory still a little bit. It was great, man. And I love Dennis Carluzzo. There's other people that don't like him, but I always thought he was a riot. He never did anything bad to me. I thought he was a great guy. He was funny. He was always a good guy. I always liked Dennis Carluzzo. And his son's a great guy. I hope his son starts promoting.
When you look at like all those Jersey guys too, there's so many, like you mentioned, but there's so many good talents all in one area at one point. Some of those indie shows were pretty loaded back in the day, back in the mid to late 90s.
From top to bottom, they were loaded, and it was nice because we all made each other better, right? So we all wanted to steal the show. I wasn't going to out wrestle Reckless Youth.
Yep.
But I was damn sure going to put on a better show. So it was great, man. It was awesome. So we all accented each other very well, and we all got along great. No heat. This is a great locker room. It really was.
Remember New Jack City Wrestling too? Do you remember that?
I am still to this day the New Jack City Tag Team Champion with Lupus. We have been Tag Team Champions for, I would say, it's got to be 30 years now. Is that a record?
Yes. Yes.
That was God. What was his name? Oh, great guy. What was his name? I forget who owned that one.
Damn, I was just trying.
Lucifer.
Yes, I was going to say. I know he was in the commercial. Come play in our hood. Yeah. Yep.
He was a funny guy.
Remember those commercials? How great they were.
It was
New
awesome.
Jack City. New
It was
Jack
so
City.
much fun.
Man, it's great memories. I'm a Jersey guy, so great memories of that time period as far as some of those wrestlers and some of those leagues were great.
Oh yeah, we had no internet back then. There was no Facebook. There was none of that. So it was all word of mouth. They would pack them in. They really would. It's great.
Yeah, your local high school or wherever. Sometimes you have Bam Bam on the card, or Bundy, or Virgil.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd get some of the big names.
Well, what people don't know, I used to run shows too. I owned a bar called Bulldozer's Saloon, and
Where's that?
That was in Delaware.
Okay.
I ran a midget ultimate fighting league. It was called MUF, Midget Ultimate Fighting Federation, and it was the most vulgar show you've ever seen. But King Kong Bundy and I would do the commentary, and it was just I'm dressing midgets up like the Village People, and it was unbelievable for quite a while.
That's awesome, though. That's such a cool idea. How was Bundy? Was he good?
Loving it. Oh, and first off, Bundy had a big crush on my mother, and I think it was mutual. All right. I think he only want to come down and see his Mary Ann, as he called her. He was in love with her.
I could see that. Super nice guy.
I miss Chris. He was a great guy, but
yeah, I feel like so many people think like, oh, he's such a heel, but if you actually get to know him really well, I actually did a lot of work with him behind the scenes before he passed, and we did signings together and all this different stuff. But he was kind of a baby face.
He's a huge baby face. Him and I were so good on commentary together. It was remarkable. And I wish we could have kept it going, because now I'm watching all these other little midget federations show up. They don't hold a candle to the shows we were writing down there. It was, Mr. Ooh La La?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, he wound up being the champion. He was the world's largest midget. Like, if that tells you how funny the show was. Wow. And then he wins the title in the Battle Royal and beats up all the midgets who are dressed like the Village People. And then he's got the belts, and he challenges any midget in the world, and out comes another midget dressed like the Ultimate Warrior, who's like, literally, this dude was like 3 feet tall, if that. Pins Ooh La La in 48 seconds with the press. It's unbelievable.
I love it. This is all your booking? Like, this is pretty good booking here.
Booking it, right? Yeah.
Almost sounds Vince Russo-esque, some of the booking.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
It was good stuff, man. It was very good.
Now, would Bundy wrestle or just commentate?
No, we just did commentary.
Because remember what he did to what was it, Little Beaver? Who did he destroy at WrestleMania?
He splashed him, right? He splashed him.
Yeah. Now, once you get into like the New Jersey scene and then ECWA, do you feel like you're getting on the WWE radar? Because you do get on their radar for quite a bit.
My whole goal when I started this, as soon as I decided to go to wrestling school, I'm telling you, John, every person I knew told me I'm never going to make it. I'm wasting my time. I'm going to get hurt. You got a good job. I was driving a beer truck. So like I was a Teamster. So yeah, that's a good job, but I don't want to drive a truck my whole life.
Right.
The minute people started saying that, I knew I was going to get WWE. I manifested it. I made it happen. I every day I would say to myself, this is what my life is going to be like when I'm there. I would manifest the whole thing, and I still do that to this day. That does work. Steve Corino, man. I was just in the right spot with the right guys. Steve Corino actually grew up in my neighborhood, and we never met each other until we got to wrestling school. And we became really good friends, and then he got to go up there, and he just called me one day out of the blue in '98. He was like, hey, what are you doing Monday? And then took off work, and away I went to WWE and never looked back.
Wow. So what happened, though, like as far as once you get there, like who's like your contact or who kind of brings you in, or is it all just through him?
So Corino got me up there the first time, and then that's when Jim Cornette was booking. And I went in there, I wrestled. I worked Dan Severn my first show, and it went really well. And I got in the back, and I gave him a big hug. And then I think, was it the next day was SmackDown? I don't know if SmackDown was out yet. Then they brought me back to wrestle Giant Silva, and I made Silva look really good. And then after that, Cornette called me a bunch of times and booked me for a bunch of shows. And then Cornette had called me one night. He hated the job. Well, we all know Cornette hates everything, right? So he hated the job because he had to call like 50 people a night to book them all over the country. And he's telling me about it. He's complaining about it. I said, Jim, why don't you just give me all the dates and I'll just book everybody. And he stopped for about 10 seconds. He goes, You'll do that for me, of course. And boom, I was magically the booker for the entire Northeast.
Wow. So how, like, what did that entail? What did you have to do?
I had all the dates, and I just had them in my book, and I would just call the guys and be like, and I listen, Inferno Kid, I would always have him on because him and I were really good friends, and we'd bring up guys like Ty Street or the Haas brothers, and oh yeah, a lot of guys came through me to get up there.
Wow, that's awesome. I had no idea that's a pretty cool but like pivotal role there.
It was an honor, and then Kevin Kelly came along, and then they gave it to him after Cornette was gone. But Kevin and I are really good friends at this point too, and then we do the whole Connecticut Connection angle in ECWA, and that goes global. So now I'm really on TV a lot because that's part of the whole thing. And then they gave me the MTV special, which was embarrassing at the time, but it was watched by 6 million people watched it live. For I Want to Be a WWE Superstar.
Yep.
And it just went bad from there. It was great.
What was that experience like? Because that's obviously different, especially at that point in time.
So we were at a Tommy show in Jersey, and Alpha approached me, Glenn Osborne, and Julio De Niro, right? And he was telling us that he wanted us to represent the Wild Samoan School at this thing at MTV Studios. And it was supposed to be a big tryout, and at the end you get a developmental deal, but it's all going to be at work, and blah, 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 blah. So Glenn and Julio decided they didn't want to go the day of. So I went up. I'm sorry, the day before they decided they wouldn't go. So I went up. I stayed with Pat Kenny and Simon Diamond and Dawn Marie the night before. They told me specifically, be the first in line at the studio. We want you first in line. So I got there at like 4 a.m. I was just sitting in front of MTV Studios in my outfit, right? I had a baseball hat on, so you couldn't tell who I was. They were shooting a movie in front of MTV Studios that night, right? And I was in the shot, but I refused to move. I said, you have zero chance of moving me. You have to move. I'm not moving anywhere. I was told to sit right here, so I guess I'm in your movie.
Wow.
I wouldn't leave. I sat right there. And I was first in line, which was I was told to be. Went in, and I helped them set up. They had the ring. It was a boxing ring they were using because the ceiling wasn't high enough. So I had to help them set it up so no one would get hurt. And they had us beat up a doll on national television, which was humiliating. Mick Foley was the judge who was supposed to pick me. And I guess he thought it was a good rib to pick the other guy live on television. But what had the poor guy? He was another nice guy. He actually thought he got signed to WWE. I think he was calling him, and the poor guy, man.
He didn't know it was a work.
It was a work, man.
Why didn't Foley follow the script? What's he doing?
He just thought it was funny. He apologized to me for it.
So literally, it was all like planned out and scripted. Like, you're going to win, but you're not really going to win. Like, that's basically how it went. That's interesting.
Well, I was supposed to. They were supposed to pick me at the end. It was going to come down to 3 finalists. I didn't know who they were going to be, and they were supposed to pick me. But then he picked the Hungarian Barbarian, as the guy's name was. And he was a good guy. Don't get me wrong, he's a nice guy, but he wasn't supposed to win. And you can see I almost stepped forward in the middle of the ring because I thought, and even Carson Daly was like looking at Mick Foley. What did you just do? Well, that's a bit of an upset. He didn't know what to do.
Yeah, that's not supposed to happen. What the hell is going on?
Like it was the end of the world.
So how come it was such a work though? How come they really wouldn't give the guy a developmental? You know what I mean? Like, why does they have to?
It wasn't really a developmental tryout. It was just an MTV thing.
Oh, just completely a work from top to bottom.
So the whole all the way through. They had us in the ring beating up a doll and running the ropes by ourselves. It was just stupid. But no TV time is bad.
Right. Make a name for yourself a little bit. You get on people's radar.
Yeah. Well, when I walked, and I'm not sure when, I think I probably wrestled for WWE right after that. Like the MTV chants would start, and it was good. So they got me a lot of press. They got me, global recognition, and it was awesome, man.
Did they actually in WWE like remember it and think about it, or they just kind of didn't pay any attention to it?
Oh, a little bit. They mentioned it here and there, but they were going to run an angle with it,
Yep. So going back to the booking stuff, like, so what did you actually have to do? Like, you are literally working for WWE as like talent scout, or it's totally unofficial?
It's unofficial. Just Jimmy gave me the book. Just gave me all the dates and just bring whoever you want. So I had
It's a
all
lot
the
of
dates. You had to go through me to get them.
it's a lot of responsibility.
It was an honor. It really was. It really was.
So
And
what do
I
you have
would
to?
say, with the exception of one guy who I won't mention because I do like him, no one acted like a goof.
So
No
are
one
you
acted professional, did a good job.
you're booking all like the local guys, basically, right?
Yeah, I was booking all the extras back then. There was always 4 of us on the show. So we booked it for Raw and SmackDown. It was great, man.
That's awesome. What did you think about Jimmy Cornette? Obviously, you must have had a pretty good relationship with him.
I've always said, you have guys that say they're a Paul Heyman guy.
Yep.
I am a Jim Cornette guy. All the way through and through. I love Jim Cornette. He's wonderful to me. He did more for me than anyone in this business, and I love him to death.
Why is he so controversial? People just they can't handle him for some
Because
reason.
he
But
tells
he's
the
great.
truth.
He's the best.
He tells the truth, and they don't like the truth. People don't want to hear the truth. Right? For some reason, the truth it's offensive these days when you tell them that their angle's terrible or their show sucks.
Yes.
Like AEW, it is not a great show. It's got bad production. The matches are all the same. Someone's going to get killed. It's going to be Darby Allin probably. And he's right. But they don't want to hear it because the smart marks think they're smarter than Jim Cornette, and they're not. There was one person smarter than Jim Cornette, and that was Dusty Rhodes, and he's gone. Period.
Dusty guy. I love that.
Everyone's a Dusty guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know one person that's not a Dusty guy. Right?
So you do keep up with current wrestling, though. Do you still watch it or not really?
I still watch it. I still watch it. I can't sit through AEW. I can't watch the show. I get little bits and pieces of it. I cannot sit there and watch that whole thing. But that Raw, SmackDown, I'll watch.
It's not for everybody, AEW. That's for sure.
Man, it's got potential to be great. But it's just how many high spots can I do, and how high can I jump off this? How high can I jump and land on my head and make the 12 marks in the audience go, ooh. And there's a reason why the arena is empty and they put everyone on one side of the ring, right? Like, the show's not great. Yeah, and they get so much star power, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, the live attendance has not been good for a lot of those shows. Yeah, it is crazy how much good talent they have. I mean, damn, Bryan Danielson's over there.
Hey.
Crazy.
Yeah, Edge, Bryan Danielson. Who's the new British kid who's ridiculous? He's like
Will Ospreay.
Yeah. Ridiculous talent. And then what's he do his first day on the show? Takes a shot at Triple H like a moron. Why? I'm sorry. He takes a shot at Stephanie.
Yep.
Why? This is what's wrong with these guys. They're so cocky. It's unbelievable.
It might have been a little bit of a misstep on that one. A little bit of a mistake.
Arrogance.
Yeah.
Arrogance.
So you're not a fan of some of the stuff you're seeing on AEW. Darby Allin, not a fan of Darby?
Not a fan.
Just too crazy?
Vince McMahon would say suspend disbelief, right?
Yep.
Darby Allin weighs 120 pounds. I cannot suspend disbelief to think that this kid could wrestle anybody. Orange Cassidy weighs 120 pounds. He's putting his hands in his pockets. Nothing would have brought me greater joy than to see either one of them step in the ring with Bradshaw and Farouk. Back in the day, I would just love to have watched Orange Cassidy put his hands in his pocket in front of Bradshaw and watch his head come flying off.
Clothesline from hell. Oh, my God.
Oh, he'd have killed him. He would have made it through the locker room.
It is crazy, though. A lot of these smaller guys, I'm shocked because obviously I'm a bit older, so I'm not the smaller guys per se. I'm not really, maybe Rey Mysterio I love, but I mean, some of the other small guys, especially in AEW, I'm just not a fan. They're just too small. You know what I mean? No, maybe it's the era because I'm used to Hogan and all these other guys, but Orange Cassidy and Darby, way too small.
Listen, there was a place as a manager like Harvey Whippleman, but Harvey Whippleman didn't get in the ring.
Right.
Listen, Bryan Danielson, Dragon, an incredible talent, but he's also in shape.
Yeah, yep.
Right? AJ
and
Styles
legit.
is not the biggest guy in the world, but AJ's in ridiculous shape.
Yep.
These guys aren't even in shape. They don't even work out.
Yep. And Danielson's a bit of a shooter too, so it's like he's kind of legit too. So
right. I've had great matches with Dan. Great matches with him. Love him. He's not stiff, and we would hit each other, and we'd cage matches and TLC matches. We had a great working relationship. I love the guy. But I guess, other guys used him as inspiration, but they didn't train like he trained, and they're never going to be Bryan Danielson. He's a special guy.
Yeah. Oh, God. He's one of the best to coming up. He's putting his career on the line. Did you see that?
Is he really though? Yeah, I'm going to put my career on the line too. I'm going to step off a stair and break my leg.
Yeah. Right. Maybe his wife is telling him, "Hey, it's time to hang it up."
I think Edge just put his career on the line, jumping off the top of the cage at 51 years old.
Whew. And the weird angle too. For some reason, he jumped straight instead of, you know what I mean? That was odd.
I don't know what was in his head. I'm assuming once his feet left the top rope, he realized how bad of an idea it was and tried to save himself.
Yeah, and unfortunately, oof.
He may have figured it out when he was up there.
Yeah, like, oh, this isn't a bad idea. Yeah. Why is he doing it? He doesn't need to do any of that stuff.
Yeah, he doesn't have the Hardys and Dudleys catching him anymore on that one.
Yeah. Does that amaze you though? Like a guy like that still doing crazy spots? Even Sting, remember he was doing all those crazy spots. Why?
Yeah, they love it, right? We have a sickness. As Roddy Piper said, we all have some sort of sickness where we can't let it go. Our brain's telling us we can do it. Unfortunately, our body doesn't let us, right?
Yep.
So that's just what it is. You want to relive that glory, that feeling. It's like our dopamine rush. It's addictive. It really is.
Did you see Darby go through the glass? Did you see that?
No, I would turn it off.
It's
at what point is this a wrestling show instead of a stunt show spectacular? And what's the point of the referees in AEW? Explain this to me. Because every single match, they go through a table. They're outside the ring for 12 minutes. What is the referee's job in this federation exactly? Are there no rules anymore? No countouts, no disqualifications? Yep. We're just going to, whatever. There's no psychology. Thank God for Steve Corino teaching down the Performance Center psychology. It's crazy.
Is that what he's doing down there? Is that his primary role at the Performance Center?
No, it was his primary role. He's a great teacher. He's a great worker. He's a Dusty guy, but he's worked Dusty more than anybody. If anybody knows psychology, it's Steve Corino. So they're lucky to have him.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing if you think about it. That Dusty, obviously past his prime, but went to ECW and worked with Corino a bunch.
Yeah, a lot. Right? They brought him back, and Dusty, at the time, my understanding, and this, you'll ask Cody better than me, but I think Dusty was really hurting for cash when that happened. That kind of rejuvenated his whole career.
Yeah, that's as the story goes. Yeah, crazy.
Who would have known? Went back to the Fed, and he got his paydays, and he went out on top. Changed a lot of lives, Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah. What was your relationship with Dusty?
Dusty was everybody's uncle, right? He was the guy you sat down and gave him all your woes. I wish I could have spent more time with him. No matter what you had, he would tell you how to do it better. The lens through which he viewed this business was rose-colored and beautiful. He could turn anything into a freaking masterpiece. Great guy.
Where were you guys working together at?
Well, he was backstage agent for a while. So, in fact, my favorite interaction with Dusty is when I was wearing my Evil Knievel outfit when I turned into Kenny Knightle, which was short-lived. But he had a Cadillac back in the day, I guess, and he had the Evil Knievel paint job on the Cadillac.
Oh, awesome.
And he was telling me him and the Briscoes would drive around Tampa. I didn't know that, but when he saw my Evil Knievel outfit, he sat me down and he's like, "Baby, let me tell you something. If we had the white Cadillac, we'd have you driving out to the ring in the white Cadillac with the music playing, and it'd be beautiful, baby." I like it, doesn't it? You'd be okay.
Yes.
Oh, it was hilarious. So funny.
He was the man.
Right now. It's you're a heel tonight. You understand? You're a heel. So you got to go out there and not be as funny as you want this to be, and we'll work on it later, baby. You just go out there and do your best.
It's funny. Everybody has a Dusty impersonation. I love that.
Pretty easy to do. He talks to us pretty good. I hope that was okay.
Yeah.
I hope I did him justice.
Yes. I had the opportunity to do his last ever interview back in 2015. And, talking to him before that, you would think like we were like best buddies or something, that I'm not just a fan that, met him a few times and got his autograph, but he was so cool to me. It was like, he treated me like I was, in the business or like a friend of his. It was crazy how good he was, like how nice he was.
He had no ego at all. He never looked down on a single person. He would give you the shirt off his back. And look at Cody, man. Give that kid credit. That kid carries himself better than anyone. You don't see him get in trouble. He's not making an ass out of himself. He raised good kids, man. He
Are
did.
you liking what you're seeing in WWE right now?
It's WWE, so it's always good. I mean, they're making more money than they ever made.
Yep.
Again, the psychology is limited, which I'm surprised with Triple H there. They're having psychology issues, but what do the referees do? How many times are they going to go through the announce table on Raw? It's like and no one gets disqualified. And no one gets counted out. They're hitting each other with chairs. And if you threw somebody over the top rope in OVW, you got disqualified. Whatever happened to these rules? Right? So that's one of Jim Cornette's finish. You know what I mean? Distract the ref, throw the guy over the top rope, and the audience, oh my God. They're just, I don't know, it's turning into a stunt show. And they're all real small now. What's with the 5'7" guys in WWE? I don't understand.
Yeah, when you look at it, there's a lot of smaller guys. Obviously minus Orton and a couple of the old school guys. But yeah, it is getting a little smaller. Wrestling in general.
Orton looks like Brock Lesnar now.
Yeah, he's a monster. Yeah.
I'm 260. He's got to be 275, 280. He's huge.
Yeah, he's looking real good. He's a monster.
Good for him. He was always a good guy. People complained about him when he was younger. I thought he was funny as hell.
Really? What do you mean? Like his attitude?
I can see they all said he had a bad attitude. I thought he was a fucking riot. I thought
you spent a lot of time with him.
Jim Jack was funny, and Sean Stasiak was funny.
Yes.
Sean Stasiak would go. Oh my God, Stasiak would go to bars and deliberately pick fights with like 6 or 7 guys. Talking about a tough son of a bitch. He would deliberately take fights with 6 guys and just unmercifully beat the piss out of them.
Wow, he's tough.
Oh, absurdly tough.
Wow, you never get that from him. I mean, he was huge, gigantic guy, but you wouldn't think like, well, he's gonna, like Haku, he's gonna be kicking everybody's ass,
Well, he had an MMA career after WWE. He was a knockout artist. So in a bar, I mean, they're not trained fighters.
Yeah,
they're not 6'7", 300.
So, did you spend a lot of time with Orton?
No, I didn't. I met him in OVW way back in the day. Chris Daniels and I were down at OVW for a little while together, and we met everybody down there. All the Bashams are there. I'm still really good friends with Doug Basham. I'm still in touch with him all the time. Outside of that, I kind of lost contact with a lot of those guys down there.
Were you officially like a member of OVW as far as like being a part of the developmental system?
Cornette and I had talked about that on multiple occasions, but they were only making like $500 a week. Now, bear in mind, I'm a sales trainer and I make like way more than that. So I wasn't going to sacrifice my real job for that when I'm already on TV. So I'm going to go down to OVW. I got a wife. I got kids. I'm going to go down there, make $2,000 a month, which is poverty. When I'm making $1,000 a day, no, I'm good. I'll stay where I am and I'll be the Brooklyn Brawler. I'm good with that.
Yeah, you don't want to take a pay cut for any reason.
No, why would I? It was stupid.
Did you ever ask him like, "Hey, why don't you give me some more money than $500 a week?" Or that wasn't the way they did it back then?
I wasn't the way they did it. I think when Edge started, Edge was making $250 when he started.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what it was back then. $250
developmental. That's not good. It's cheap. It's pretty cheap back then.
It's just, hey, you just got they want to sign that contract. But listen, it worked out for Edge, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Yep. Did you like it down there at OVW?
I did. I liked it. It was a great place. People knock it. I thought it was great. I thought the production was great. I thought the ring was a nice ring. In fact, Doug Basham's father is the one that builds the ring for WWE.
Wow, I didn't know that.
No one knew that, right? So Doug Basham's dad built that ring. And talking about a great ring to bump in, man. It was just amazing. It was amazing.
Good learning experience down there too?
Amazing experience, and it's different. So when you're on the independents, you're just wrestling constantly, you're not really doing all these drills. So when you go to OVW, now you're in the ring, you're doing all these drills, and you just got to get back in that mindset of it. It's not easy to do. And they worked you, man. Danny Davis didn't play. He worked you. You'd have to do the crisscross they just pick 2 people and you'd go and you just keep going. You're in there for 8 minutes, you're just running, you're getting ready to die. But he would do it, and he trained a lot of really high quality guys, as you can see.
Big time,
did a great job.
So who else was down there when you were down there as far as OVW?
Oh, who all was there? Let's see. You had Santino Marella. I was there that day.
Oh.
Yeah, I was on that show. I wrestled on that show. Boogeyman debuted on that show. I wrestled Mark Mercedes from Mark Mercedes was from he was from Sydney, Australia, and he came up and he was getting a tryout. So they put him against me in his match there. We had a good match, and then Boogeyman came up. And Boogeyman was going to leave through the crowd. Well, Santino was there with his daughter, and he was new, so he didn't really. I guess he didn't really understand what was going on. So he didn't move or really sell for Boogeyman. And Cornette lost his mind. He was so pissed off. So he brought him in the back and was just ripping his ass out right in front of us all. And then he just slapped him right in the mouth, which probably not a great idea if they were alone because Santino's a shooter. But he was standing there. I mean, you had Lance Storm, me, I mean, the Bashams, everybody was there. I mean, you name it. Who was the guy from MTV? Mark, big gigantic guy. He was on the MTV on Tough Enough the first season. He was there.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, everybody was there. It was crazy.
And he didn't react, huh, to the slap, or he knew not to, I guess.
He didn't. He no-sold it a little bit, and then he just walked out. Went out the back door, I think. But I felt bad for him, dude. I don't think Jimmy should have slapped the guy, and I think Santino handled as best he could. But I think the next day Jimmy was released or quit or whatever happened there.
Crazy. Do you know, like, why he got so fired up? It's just because he no-sold and they're trying to build up this guy as a monster?
You have to ask him that one, man. He just lost his temper and had a bad moment, I guess. I still love him.
Oh, of course, yeah. We got to let that one go.
I slapped a lot of guys in my life, so I understand.
Now, as far as WWE, any sort of relationship with Vince? Does Vince talk to all the guys, or does he not really pay attention? Like, oh no, that's Cornette's guy. Cornette deals with him specifically.
No, Vince is he's usually in the booking meeting all day. You'll see him in the hallway during the show. But first time I saw Vince was in, I think it was Philly. First time I talked to him, and we were in the hallway alone, and we were passing each other, and I stopped him and I introduced myself, said hello, and thanked him, and he just nodded and shook my hand. He liked guys that had balls, and most guys wouldn't even talk to him because they were scared to death of him. I thought he was a funny guy. Stephanie, I hung out with her most of the time I was there. She was a riot. Her and I got along great. Shane's a good guy. The dad, Vince, was a good guy. Never did anything wrong to me. Always laughing, joking, shook my hand, pat me on the back. He was a good guy.
Did you see Shane recently with the AEW picture with Tony Khan? Did you see that?
I saw that. I did. That intrigues me a little bit.
Kind of shocking to me anyway. I kind of was like, no way. And it's like, oh my God, that they are meeting together. Interesting.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't want to throw a rumor out, but I'm not so sure him and Triple H get along very well.
No, that's the rumor that they do not. Yeah.
So maybe that's his shot at Hunter. Who knows? I don't know. But listen, again, if it puts eyes on the business, it's good for the business. And I think Shane being there might help fix the production of AEW. Right? If anybody can pull it off, it's a McMahon. So, hey, listen, if he goes, it'd be great. They're certainly going to get ratings off it for a little while in the interim, but maybe he can fix the backstage too.
That would be nice. Yeah, I feel like he might give him a little boost as far as ratings, because the ratings have been pretty bad, pretty substandard as well.
I think Tony Storm is the one to watch on AEW, actually.
Yeah, the interesting character, the black and white. Her storylines have been good. Yeah.
I have to say, the heel turn by the other girl was done remarkably well.
Mariah May, yeah.
I can't recall the last time I saw another girl blade.
Yeah, very rare, actually, yeah.
I think I have a crush on her now. So if she's watching,
really?
Tony.
Wow. I could see that, though. I could see that. Yeah, that's one of the few things that they've done well as far as like booking wise, because usually that's the biggest like crux of it all. It's like, man, the booking, they like that stinks or that didn't make sense. But the Tony Storm Mariah May thing was like actually laid out pretty perfectly.
I don't think anybody saw it coming either. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was done very well. Very well.
Yeah,
by both of those girls. They did a great job on it.
I thought she was with her. I thought that was her friend. I didn't know she was using her for a title shot. I had no idea.
Yeah, no, it's all it was good. Very well done. Very well done.
Maybe the only good thing creatively they've got going on, maybe.
Well, I would assume coming up, and I hope they don't do it, that they're going to have Dominic versus Rhea Ripley at one of these pay-per-views, and that's going to be. I probably won't watch it ever again because they start intergender matches in WWE. I'm going to be so pissed off. I'll be done with the whole thing.
I'm thinking Dom turns on her, right, and helps Liv Morgan.
Well, I would say it's got to happen, right? I mean, they're going to
Yeah.
get Liv over. That's going to get her over better than anything. Rhea's already over.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
what could Dom do with her?
Yeah, sure. I'd rather not see any intergender matches as well. I feel like,
no,
not a huge fan of them.
You just watched one in the Olympics, and a dude punched a girl in the face and ruined her dreams yesterday, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Suspend disbelief.
Yeah, you've got to suspend disbelief. So, just as far as like WWF, who else like did you wrestle as you're going through? Because I know you said Severn, but I know that you wrestled Godfather. I mean, you had a ton of matches in WWE.
I had a laundry list. I was the king of the darks. You know, at one point, and it was a running gag, I would say I'm the most televised independent wrestler in the history of WWE. I think I am to this day. I mean, I had literally hundreds of matches at WWE. I mean,
really?
darks.
Wow.
I mean, I had nights where I wrestled there. I'd wrestle twice a night and then be a cop, and like I was on TV constantly. It was a great experience. They treated me wonderfully. I got to travel all over the country, and it was great, man. Great. My favorite guys to wrestle though, Viscera was great. I think he always got a bum rap. They said he hurt people, but I thought he was like one of the Samoans. He was nice and smooth with me, except for his spin kick, which he almost killed Christian with one time. Other than that, he was great. Albert was always a pleasure to wrestle. Godfather was a pleasure to wrestle. They were all good guys, you know. And then I had a lot of dark matches with guys, independent guys and whatnot. But yeah, man, Test and I always butted heads for a while. And then when we worked each other, we kind of killed the beef. We worked really well together. And he wound up being a nice guy. Tragedy at the end there, but he was a good guy.
Did they pay well?
All right, so back then we were getting, I think when we started, you were getting $250 a night with the extras. I wound up, I think I was getting $450 at one point, plus they would get me a room or they'd pay me travel. So I was doing all right. You know, you weren't rich, but you're back in the 90s, and then I had my regular job, so I was doing pretty well with it.
Yeah,
if there was social media back then, I would have had millions of followers and made a killing.
Did you get paid, like when you wrestled twice or played a cop, did you get paid twice, and do you get paid extra or no?
No, you just got paid the one. You go up to Arnold Skolnick with a cigar, you got candy to your money.
They should give you extra, though, for wrestling more matches or playing a cop and stuff, you know?
Nah, what's the difference? You're there to have fun, man. Listen, you're working 12 minutes a night and you're making $600. Who cares?
Yeah, true. That's true.
You do, what's it, $100 a minute or something you get paid there?
Any bad experiences there?
Brian Christopher is the only bad experience. He's an asshole. I'm not the only one who thinks that he was an asshole alive, and you know he's probably an asshole wherever he is now. But I don't want to talk ill of the dead. He's the only asshole I met up there. Everybody else was cool, and I'm not the only one to say that.
What did he do though?
He's a prick. He's a fight starter. He would pick a fight with you when he was drunk, and then he would pretend he didn't the next day. But he would insult the extras. He would try and pick fights with them. He would tell them, "Oh, you think you're working tonight?" and try and bury you. He's just an asshole. And listen, I'm not going to put words in their mouth, but I guarantee that Stevie Richards, I know Crash Holly hated him. I'm not the only one. The guy was just an asshole.
So that's the only really bad experience. Everything else was pretty good.
The only one. Everybody else was great. Couldn't say a bad thing about anybody else up there.
So how many years technically were you there? I mean, this is a good amount of years here.
Man, I was I got there in 98. I think my last match was 06. So it was a long time. I was there for a long time. And hey, we all want to be John Cena, right?
Yep.
But I realized during it, this is only a TV show. There's only X amount of spots. And look at the talent pool that was there when I was there, right? Steve Austin, The Rock, Hunter, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, The Acolytes. Like everybody was a huge star. There was no B player. Everybody was a main event guy. So try cracking that glass ceiling, right? That's not easy to do. And then Test comes in and he looks exactly like me. And he's 8 feet tall at 320 pounds.
Is that where the beef came from? That you guys were looking too much alike?
Well, part of it, right? So I met Andrew at ECWA. And he hadn't been in the business long. He was trained by the Hearts. He had a great look, as we all know, right? And he was a great attitude. So we became friends there. And then he grabbed me one day and he goes, I got to talk to you real quick. I said, about what? He goes, well, they want me to dress like you. I said, what do you mean dress like me? He goes, yeah, they want me to wear the black leather and the black tights and the black tape. And I started laughing. I said, oh, great. So in a month from now, I'll be a you imposter. He goes, oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't me. I'm like, don't worry about it. It's all good. I said, whoever gets it on TV first owns it, though. Remember that, right? I'm telling you, man, as soon as they made him test, he stopped talking to me. He was mad at me for putting my it was unbelievable. And then I just started making fun of him and teasing him for it. And then people started calling, I think it was Luna Vachon. It was either Luna Vachon or Ivory. Started calling me Quiz. Because I was standing next to Ted. They were like, test and quiz.
Yes.
So then they started throwing the test and quiz around idea. They were thinking about teaming us up against the Hollies. And Crash was all in on it. He loved it. He's like, this will be great. It'll be awesome. And it just never transpired, whether it was Test who killed it or they just didn't want to do it, whatever happened. But after I worked him, me and Vince Goodnight teamed up to take on Albert and Test. And after that, Test kind of backed off and realized that I wasn't his enemy.
How come they wanted him to dress like you? How come they wouldn't just use you? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
I'm 6'3", but I'm not 8 feet.
Yeah, he was a big boy.
He was like the Kevin Nash of the new millennium. And what was funny about the people, if I was standing there and he was there, fans would walk up to me and call me Test and then call him Mr. Nash. And he would be so pissed off.
He does, yeah. He does kind of look like Nash, yeah.
He was so mad about it. But I was with Shane. We were walking out of the Spectrum, the First Union Center. It was me, Shane, Test was there. Or Test was behind us. And all the fans are up on the walkway there. And they're all pointing to me, calling me Test. And Shane was laughing about it, calling me Test out loud just to piss off Andrew.
I love that. That's awesome. Interesting, though, that they liked your look, though. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I like this guy's look. Why don't you dress like him? You know what I mean? Like, they like what they were seeing.
Well, I don't know if they deliberately did that, but they wanted the Test characters. He was a bodyguard for Motley Crue, right? So
yes,
they wanted to wear the black leather. Maybe it was just a fluke, right? I don't think they stole that from me. Well, first of all, I stole it from the Legion of Doom anyway. So who am I to say? Like,
right?
Barry Darsall, I think, was wearing it before me too. So I just made it popular.
If you wrestled today, though, you'd be like the Test, or if you will. You know what I mean? Like, as far as just being like a huge guy.
I'd be Godzilla. I would.
Yeah.
I would be Godzilla. But I wouldn't do anything. I would just punch people, and that would be all I would do.
Do you think that that's crazy, though? Like, the business got so big, and it was with the land of giants, and now it's kind of a lot of small guys. Does that rub you the wrong way at all?
Nah, it doesn't rub me the wrong way. Listen, I don't fault anybody for getting in that ring, and anybody who does it, I respect you, right? Whether you're good, bad, you do it once, you do it 1,000 times, whatever. You have to respect people for it. But man, go to the gym, dude. It's the guys that get in there and they don't go to the gym. They drive in, or they wear a T-shirt in the ring. That infuriates me. Guys get in the ring and need a T-shirt, I will chop the piss out of them. It drives me nuts. I mean, if you're wearing a singlet, great. But if you're wearing a T-shirt because you're out of shape, you deserve to get the shit kicked out of it. Drives me up a wall.
I feel like most of the guys that would be there, obviously veterans, but the experienced guys, mate, they're pretty ripped. Even AJ, LA Knight, Orton. You know what I mean? They know you got to look the part, if you will, if you're in the business.
Well, listen, first off, not just for the business, but for yourself, right? I'm 51, right? I'm still jacked up. These guys are in their 20s and they won't even walk into the gym. And again, I'm not picking on Sami Zayn, but come on, man.
Yeah.
Right? I can suspend disbelief to an extent, but come on.
I can't believe he beat Gunther and Braun Breaker. Straight up, I couldn't believe that.
Who's Breaker got heat with? I feel like it's Scott Steiner's fault somehow.
Right? Yeah,
I feel like Hunter's like, I was going to get your nephew right there just to get back at you for all the shit you said about it.
I know he's rematching Zayn, but in my mind, I thought Breaker was going to squash him. You know what I mean? Like, just looking at him, like, oh, it's going to be a squash.
I don't think he's ready for it, and I don't think his character. I gotta tell you, he's a Steiner, and I don't know why they're not using him as a Steiner.
Yeah, Braun Breaker's a weird name. Yeah.
What happens when Brock Lesnar comes back? And I don't know how tall Braun Breaker is, but he ain't Brock Lesnar. So what is Brock Lesnar going to do? Right? Job out the Breaker? Not going to happen.
But I just can't believe that Breaker's not beating Sami Zayn, though. You know what I mean? He's
I
got to
don't know
beat
how
him.
that happened. I think they kind of killed off his momentum. But listen, too much too soon will kill you off as well. Everybody was mad that Cody didn't get the belt at WrestleMania 39, right?
Yep.
But then he got it at 40. It was actually far more special. So Hunter's not a dumb guy. There's a reason for everything.
Definitely. And obviously the booking of it was great. 2-year feud, you know what I mean, with the bloodline, everything. It was very well done.
Well, that wasn't Cody's story. It was Roman's story. This is Cody's story now. So we'll see how this one goes.
Finish the story, right?
Yeah, well, Roman finished his. Let's see when he comes back. He's gonna be the biggest baby face in the world. So I don't know what Cody's gonna do then. He is gonna be over like gangbusters.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem, right? Unless Cody somehow turns heel. But yeah, that could be a problem with two big baby faces on the same show.
Cody's heel turn, I think, will be far better than his face run.
You're not liking him as a baby face.
Well, they were liking him, but sometimes you put the belt on him, and now what do we do with you? Sometimes you're better chasing the belt than owning the belt.
Yeah. Yep. Chase.
Listen, and not that he's not a great champion and doing a great job. He really is. And I'm sure his father up in heaven is proud as hell out of him. The heel run is going to be far better. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying his run now. But I would like to see like a Homelander-esque heel turn would be cool.
Yeah, that would be good. We're good. They'll do something. It'll come. Probably WrestleMania this year.
And obviously Roman's due back pretty soon, and the bloodline. So there's very interesting stuff with them.
It'll be good. How many Samoans are in WWE right now? They should have their own show now. I mean,
7, right? You got Roman, the Usos, and the guys in the bloodline. Yeah, there's like 7 of them at least.
How many are at OVW? There's got to be more of them down there.
There's a bunch. And there's a bunch on the indie scene, too. They're all related that are coming up.
I've wrestled a ton of them. I wrestled a Lansinoy when he was 5 years old.
5?
He did a run-in on me and Samu. I had Sam beat, and here comes Lance. He was 5 years old. So he causes the distraction. I get up. I take the super kick from Sam, and then Lance drops the people's elbow on me at 5 years old, and him and his father pinned me right in the middle of the ring.
Nice. Love that.
He was so excited. It was funny. I
love that. There's so many Samoans. It's almost like insane. They're usually all pretty good, too.
They're ridiculous. It's like they're born to do this. They don't even train. They just get in the ring, and they're great at it. I don't understand. They're amazing at it. And they're the smoothest people in the world.
Yeah, that's what I'm always surprised when I talk to some of the guys, because I'm just like, oh, they look like the head shrinkers killed you or whatever. Like, nope, light as a feather. I'm like, what?
Well, Sam broke my nose one time. It was my fault, not his. On Tommy Fierro's show, I turned into it, and he laid me out, and I'm laying in the middle of the ring. I was out, and I was supposed to roll out of the ring so they could do something else. And I'm just laying in the middle of the ring, this big goof. I couldn't move. I was holding my face. That was the only time I got hurt by a Samoan. And it was totally my fault.
Did he apologize?
No, it wasn't. He didn't do it. I did it.
Oh.
He may have apologized. He probably apologized.
Now, as we head towards the wind down, head towards the finish, who are some of like the best guys that you work with? I know we talked about some of WWE stuff. Like, who's some of your favorite guys that you work with? I know you mentioned Danielson too before.
Oh, Daniels was great to work with. You know what? He's the yin to my Cheetah Master. Mike Wilmer from ECWA was always because he's a good friend of mine. He was so over in Delaware. It was insane. So, they turned me heel, and I was as equally over as a heel as he was a face. And then we did the whole Connecticut connection with Kevin Kelly, and it was a tremendous angle. So I would put Mike right there at the top. Godfather certainly is great. Daniels was great. Who else? I like Lance Diamond was great to work with. Pat Kenny, always great to work with. I would say Glenn Osborne was wonderful. Glenn Osborne, who was offered WWE contracts numerous times and didn't go for whatever reason. He could have been the next British Bulldog. Those guys, yeah, they were great.
When you look at, obviously, a bunch of those guys, did you wish that you ended up getting the WWE contract, like get the big contract, or were you happy with where you were?
You all want the big contract, but a lot of guys that get the big contract regret it immediately. Then they got to live that lifestyle on the road. Then you are on the road 300 days a year, and you're not with your family. You don't see your kids, and it wears them out. I was fortunate I had the best of both worlds, where I could be home and still be on TV constantly. I have no regrets at all about my career. I'd love to still be working with WWE, and if they called me tomorrow, I would probably make a deal to go back and train guys. And I had a great life. I can't complain. And I really think I probably had the best spot there because I had no pressure on me, and I would get out there in front of the crowd, and at the end of the show, there were still 5,000 girls waiting to meet me. So I had a pretty good run.
Now, I might be crazy, but was there a documentary about the Cheetah Master that I saw? Or was the ECWA documentary, or am I crazy?
They're making a movie. The guy that bought it, Ryan, he's making a movie about the ECWA. And they started with some really, really good vignettes with Cheetah Master. And I guess they're going to do it with everybody who was a high-end player there. Mike Wilmer's a special guy. He really is. And if you're not a ECWA wrestling fan, I would recommend going on YouTube and looking for some Cheetah Master matches and just look at the reaction this guy gets. It really was. He was like Steve Austin of the ECWA. It was incredible.
So it's going to be a documentary, or what are they doing?
They're making a documentary, as far as I know. I think it's called A Backyard in Delaware is what it's called. I don't have enough details on it. I don't want to lie to you. But I hope they do well with it. If I'm invited to partake in it, I'll certainly partake in it,
Yeah, they got to interview you for it. Are you kidding me? You better get on there.
I don't think they can afford me.
True. As far as Cheetah Master, how come he didn't go further?
He went up to the Fatty, but he got some shots up there. I don't know. You'd have to ask him that. He's a good guy. He's a good worker. He's got a tremendous look. The guy was built like a brick shit house. But I don't know the answer to that one. I really don't.
Where was your favorite place to work?
Wow. Favorite place to work? Meadowlands.
Really?
I think the Meadowlands might have been my favorite, yeah. Madison Square Garden was cool because once you're at Wrestle Madison Square Garden, you're part of an elite crew. That was awesome. I think the Meadowlands was my favorite place.
Why Meadowlands?
I
Interesting.
had a lot of adventures up there, great matches there. Julio Sanchez and I, De Niro and I, we went to, I think it was TGI Fridays. Remember they used to have, they had like the greenhouse section you could sit in, like the glass section.
Yeah.
Audio. Yep. So we're sitting out there, and we ordered our beers, and we're drinking, and we ordered our food. And the waitress comes out. We're on our drinks, and she goes, "Guys, there's a little fire in the kitchen. Your food's gonna be delayed." We're like, "More drinks, more shots." We're just getting hammered. Well, next thing you know, all the people are, they're running out of the restaurant, out of the kitchen, because now the kitchen's really on fire. She comes out. She goes, "Guys, we have to evacuate the restaurant. The kitchen's on fire." And I look at her. I look at Julio. I said, "Well, miss, we didn't get our food yet." And she goes, "The kitchen's on fire." And we're like, "We didn't get our food yet." And she goes, "Oh, my God." And goes back into the kitchen, gets our food, and brings it out with more drinks. Oh, my
God.
That's what's wrong with us. We're sitting there eating, right? And she's screaming at us, right? And we're like, "You mind getting us another drink?" And she's getting us more drinks and more food. And then she finally comes over really pissed off. And she goes, "Guys, I'm leaving. This place is full of natural gas, and we're all going to die." And me and Julio looked at each other. We just picked up all of our plates and our beers, and we went walking out and put them on the hood of a cop car and finished our food and left.
Did the place burn down?
Burned to the ground right in front.
Oh, my God. Jesus.
I don't know what the hell was wrong with us, but that's just one of the many funny adventures of being a professional wrestler.
Wow, you guys are nuts, though. You guys should have got out of there. That's pretty dangerous.
The older version of me is telling me how stupid I would have been, and the older version also enjoys the story for being hilarious.
Yes, and I know Mike Quackenbush still hates you from a funny story as well.
I stiff poor Mike Quackenbush. I feel terrible about it.
Why did you do it?
I don't even know whose show this was. It was in Jersey. They forgot to bring a ring bell, and they had a battle royal, and they had no ring bell. So I think the guy literally yelled "ding ding" to start the match, and then Nick Burke starts dancing in the middle of the ring like a jackass. So I immediately stiffed him in the mouth. I was just pissed off, and then poor Quackenbush and I ran in the corner, and I just pummeled the shit out of him. And I don't know why, because I love Mike Quackenbush. I was so mad. And then we got into the back. And he's like, "Where's the heat?" I'm like, "What heat? What are you talking about?" What are you talking about? You're crazy. I did. I potatoed the hell out of him. Sorry, Mike.
And he's still mad at you to this day.
I don't know. Maybe. I haven't talked to him since, so probably.
He probably is, yes.
Probably is. He's got a little bit of a right to be.
So you said no regrets in the business. You're happy with your career. Obviously, you're still doing the ECWA show, but you're happy with how everything turned out.
Well, listen, we all have that itch to stay in the ring, but at a certain point, you got to realize, is this going to be forever, or am I going to wind up like Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler, right?
Right.
I took everything from WWE, and to this day, and I recommend if you're in wrestling, use your star power to make your life better. I've created a huge corporation. I have a big company. I have 100 employees. I travel all around the country. I train people. I train big HVAC companies, plumbing companies, electric companies. I do a lot of fun things and big events. I have no regrets and no complaints. I live in Fort Lauderdale and Westchester, Pennsylvania, and I fly back and forth. I lay on the beach. I go to the Elbow Room with Bubba Ray Dudley. I got a great life. I can't complain at all, man.
Nice. I love it. Now, as far as everybody following you, do you do social media at all? Are you on the socials?
I'm on TikTok as a Big Bad Wolf Ryder. And then I'm on Instagram. Also same thing, Ryder, Big Bad Wolf.
Awesome. JR Ryder, great interview. Thank you so much for all the time, but really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you. We'll do it again sometime. Oh, I never told you about Chavo Guerrero.
Oh, give me, before we go, give me a little Chavo, yeah.
You remember Chavo Guerrero was out of action, hurt for like 6 months?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, so Chavo and I wrestled in Baltimore in a dark match. And he didn't want to do the match because they were doing an angle with Charlie Haas and Shelton later on the night. He didn't want to do it. But they told him, you're doing the dark match. So Chavo's backstage with those rubber bands because Chavo's 5'8". So he's getting ready to get in the ring with Godzilla, and he's got the damn rubber bands, and he's just doing curls for a good 25 minutes trying to pump up. So we get in the ring and we lock up, and he calls an arm drag, and he goes to throw the arm drag and immediately tears his bicep.
Oh.
Immediately. So I land, and he like disappeared on me. I thought I was going to land on him. I land, I get up, and the referee grabs me, which I think it was Doan. And he goes, we got to do that again. It looked terrible. And I'm like, something went south there, man. And we looked over, and Chavo's arm is curled up, and he's like not screaming, but he wants to. So they had to stop the match. So I beat Chavo Guerrero in 9 seconds, and I want my kudos for that, WWE.
Wow, amazing! Damn, sucks that he got hurt, but amazing on the victory.
It does suck. Well, I think they put it down as a draw. I got robbed, but poor Chavo, man. I felt so bad. And then I got in the back, and of course Eddie's furious, like it's everybody's fault. My hands are clean. And then the Legion of Doom, they started in on him, telling I should have ripped his fucking arm off. Then Roddy Piper's screaming, I should have ripped his fucking other arm off. They're all just picking on the poor guy.
Poor injured Chavo. Damn.
Oh, poor Chavo. But I did call him the victory. He was okay, so him and I were cool. But every time I saw him after that, his arm. But he was a good guy. He was a good sport of that. I felt bad about that. He's out for a while.
Hey, should have gotten the win. Should have got the kudos from WWE for it. That's for sure.
Got the kudos. It's the rubber bands. It was the pump. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault, Chavo.
Ryder,
it wasn't my fault.
Yes. Great reference. But Ryder, thank you so much for all the time. Really appreciate it tonight.
Anytime. I appreciate you, my friend. We'll do it again sometime.